Most people think inequality survives because people accept it. But throughout history, inequality only lasted when power learned how to justify itself. And once it does, resistance starts to feel wrong. If inequality depended only on force, it would collapse the moment force weakened. The reason it doesn't is because most systems don't rely on violence anymore. They rely on belief. And once inequality feels legitimate, resisting it starts to feel immoral or irrational. So far, we've seen that inequality didn't start with capitalism. Markets rewired it, and in some periods, markets were deliberately restrained. But none of that explains the most important question: why didn't unequal systems constantly collapse? Why didn't the majority simply overturn them? Because inequality learned a crucial lesson early on. Force creates inequality. Legitimacy keeps it alive. Early elites tried brute control, and it worked, briefly. But force is expensive. It requires constant enforcement, and it creates permanent resistance. A system that relies only on fear has to fight everyone all the time. That's not stable, so power adapted. Instead of asking, how do we control people? It asked something far more effective. How do we make inequality feel normal, necessary, even just? That's when inequality stopped looking like domination and started looking like order. Legitimacy doesn't say, this system benefits us. It says, this is how the world works. This is tradition. This is moral. This is natural. This is inevitable. Once inequality is framed this way, resisting it feels like resisting reality itself. At that point, individual effort stops mattering. Not because people are lazy, but because they're operating inside rules they didn't design. You can work harder, obey better, or compete smarter. But legitimacy defines the boundaries of what effort can change. So the correct way to understand inequality isn't people allow it. It's this: inequality survives because institutions convert power into legitimacy. Force creates the hierarchy. Legitimacy makes it self policing. And this is where history takes a critical turn. Because once legitimacy exists, it needs tools, stories, laws, rituals, records. That's how religion, law, and the state enter the picture, not as neutral inventions, but as stabilizers of unequal systems. So the real question isn't why inequality exists. It's this: how did belief systems convince people that hierarchy was justified and sometimes even sacred? That's what we'll look at next.